So hello, everyone. I'm so glad that there are a lot of people actually want to hear about exploratory testing. But first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Mirjana Kolarov. I work for a company called Levi9 IT Services. This is why I get this badge here. This is our company logo. And what do I do there? Richard explained you what test managers should do in Agile on the presentation or keynote there, and this is what I'm trying to do. So from the organization perspective of the company, I'm a test department manager or a head of 2 test departments in my company. And from the project perspective, I'm a test architect on a couple of projects, so I'm in charge of all of the testing on those projects. Besides that, I'm extremely proud that I co-founded Testers Club, which is the first testing community in Serbia, and we are trying to do different kinds of meetups and maybe even a testing conference next year, and I'm hoping that some of you might join us next year in Serbia. And what am I going to talk about today? Today I'm going to talk about exploratory testing, how to use it and how not to use it, and give you some practical advices on it. And the reason for this beautiful green picture in the beginning is that I really would like to, when you get out of this room, that you remember to constantly learn and to constantly explore everything you do, so that includes your software. And this is our agenda for today. We are going to talk a bit about scripted testing, then about exploratory testing, session-based test management. I'm going to demonstrate some tools which I use for exploratory testing. I'm going to tell you when to use exploratory testing, when not, and at the end, let's try to conclude something. So, test cases or scripted testing. When I'm using test cases, this is how I feel like this donkey here with a carrot in front, following it blindly and going to eat that carrot and seeing nothing around me. And really, this is the same case with test cases. I'm trying to rhyme here something. So when you use test cases, you're misled by those test cases, by the steps, by the expected result. And in Agile, since I'm in Agile, test cases might be a waste of time because there are constant changes and you cannot follow it with just updating your manual test scripts. And the important thing here is that repeatability won't help you, variations will. So if you keep on repeating the same steps over and over again, what will you do? You will find the same bugs all over again, right? But if you do some variations, either in steps or in test data, you might find something new. And let's see small experiment now. You saw a lecture before me, so this is the inattentional blindness experiment. And I'm going to ask you let's create a test case. Our test case is to count how many times players in white pass the ball to each other. So I'm going to play the video. Please count how many times players wearing white shirts are passing a ball to each other. And our expected results here is 16. So we are expecting to be 16 passes. So please count, and we will see who got it right. OK. OK. Who counted less than 16? Raise your hand. OK, who counted exactly 16, as I said? Who counted more than 16? OK, so you do not all count the same. And who saw the gorilla? OK, you all do, but usually 50% of the audience don't do that, because this is some experiment. But you were there, and all of you listen, this is good. So this is a test, first one. OK, but you don't know about this one. Who saw that the curtain changed the color? OK. And what about one player in a black T-shirt leaving a game? Only a few. And for those of you who haven't seen this, let me play it all over again. And while you take a look at this again. So this is approximately the time when the monkey or gorilla is going to come in. Come on, gorilla, where are you? There he is. And now curtain is turning to yellow, and it was red in the beginning. And you see, there are only 2 players. So when the gorilla came in, 1 player left. This is the experiment held by Daniel Simmons. He is a professor of psychology at one US university. And this phenomenon is, as you already learned, called inattentional blindness. What is it all about? Is that people typically do not observe world around their focus of attention. So your focus of attention was to count and also to spot the gorilla because you knew about it, but your focus on attention wasn't to observe what happens besides that. So you haven't seen, at least most of you haven't seen the curtain changing color or the person leaving a game. And you see, we had a test case, we had an expected result, we were too focused to count, so we haven't observed something which might be obvious if I told you, okay, just sit and observe everything which happens, I believe that you will see the curtain changing color. So this is like the traditional scripted way of testing. And now, let's do a game. This is a 20-question game, and we can play it in 2 ways. What is it about? I'm going to think of a term, and you're going to ask me 20 questions, yes or no questions. I'm going to answer them, and you're going to try to guess what I thought of. We can play this game in 2 ways. First way would be that you as a crowd sit down and brainstorm 20 best questions you came up with to actually then find one brave delegate to stand out and actually read me those questions, and I could answer them, but I don't think that you will guess what I thought of. And another way, this is the way we are going to play this game. One of you is going to ask me the question, I'm going to answer, then another person is going to ask me the question, and so on, and you have 20 questions to ask. Okay, I'm ready. I have a term, so let's start. Who is going to ask me first something, yes or no? No one. Come on. I have 40 minutes. Hurry up. Shoot.
Are you a living being?
Am I? I am. Yeah, I am a living being, and I also thought of living being. So yes. Another question?
A man or a woman?
I cannot answer that, so let's try to another. It doesn't matter. But, so one was living being. Another one, please.
Do you support FC Vojvodina Novi Sad?
Well, it doesn't have to do anything with question. With
It's a yes or no question.
Yeah, it is, but it doesn't have to do anything with this. Don't ruin my concept, come on. Play along with me.
Is it human?
No, it's not a human.
Are you young?
Am I young? Depend on the perspective. Depend who asks. But let's go back to the game. Sorry? Yeah, I thought of an animal. Yeah? Cartoon? Sorry? Cartoon? There are some cartoon characters based on this animal. Come on, it's easy.
Can it fly?
No, it cannot fly.
Is it an animal who can live at home?
Yeah. Come on, it's easy.
You have 4 legs.
It has 4 legs. 7 questions.
Is it small?
Depends on the species or whatever your pedigree or no. It is a dog. Yeah. So it's my dog. This is me with my dog. So how did we play this game? You asked first, is it a living being? And I said yes. And based on this question, based on my answer, you created your new question, which was, I forgot.
If it was human.
Yeah, if it is human, and so on. So you needed 8 or 9 questions to answer, to actually find out what was I trying to say. And this is how we do exploratory testing. So we do think of a test, we do that test, we find something, we have some kind of a result of that test, and then on the spot decide what are we going to do next and what are we going to test next. Cam Kenner, the founder of the term exploratory testing, actually had a really nice explanation that testing is like a CSI investigating. And imagine a crime scene investigator who approaches his crime scene with predefined steps, with test cases. How effective will he be, or she? Not that effective. So what do? They do exploratory testing on their crime scene, and software is our crime scene, so let's explore it. And now a little bit about exploratory testing. As I already said, it was founded by Cam Kenner more than 30 years ago. To answer your question, this was a year before I was born, so decide whether I'm young or not. And what the exploratory testing is. Who knows what the exploratory testing is? Give me one thought.
Testing without test cases?
Okay, good. Yeah, true. It is without test cases. Usually people think of exploratory testing as a way to test something when you don't know anything about the software. So when you want to learn, you do your exploratory testing, which is true, but we use exploratory testing in so many ways. Exploratory testing is unscripted, as you mentioned, without test cases, so we don't have any predefined steps, and unprepared testing, unprepared, because this is not traditionally prepared detailed steps, but it can be prepared, and it is good to be that it at least a bit be prepared. The effectiveness of exploratory testing depends on so many things, and I'm going to list the ones I think are important. It is the skill of a tester, how a tester actually is skilled, about the intuition. Intuition here is very important. Some of us can follow intuition and some of us cannot. So those of you who can are more efficient in their exploratory. And it depends on experience of a tester. The more experience you have, it is much easier for you and you will be better at exploring. And also on ability to follow hunches. So if you can follow the hunches, you will be good in exploratory testing. At least I assume that you will be good. The thing I want you to remember is, this works, expect the unexpected. This is what I want you to take out of this room. In exploratory testing, please expect the unexpected. Try to be open-minded for this one. Exploratory testing is a combination of experience and excellence. And what do I mean by that? Experience, how much years of experience does the tester have, how many different projects has he or she tested, and excellence in the domain. How well does the tester knows the domain he or she is testing? Until you start exploring, you don't know what you will find. And this is the key, I think, in the exploration. So until you start exploring, you don't know what you will find. So be open-minded, expect the unexpected. You do compile the tests in your head as you go. And this is what we did with that 20-question game we had. I gave you the answer, and then you have compiled your question along the way and asked me something. And while you're compiling those tests in your head, you need to decide on the expected result or the expected behavior in a split of a second. So in exploratory testing, it is not like we don't have the expected behavior or expected result. We do, but we don't think of it up front. We think of it on the spot. So based on our previous findings, we are actually thinking of what do we expect to be the outcome of our test. And even though that expected result doesn't match the actual result doesn't match our expected result, this doesn't mean that it is a bug. It might be so many things. So let's be open-minded on this and then actually investigate what happened there. What testers find difficult to understand here in exploratory testing is that it is the tester's responsibility to manage his or own time during one session. So it all sounds pretty much nice, but there are actually quite a challenges there. Exploratory testing requires a certain mindset. So as we already talked about, you need to be open-minded, to expect the unexpected, to look around, not to be too focused, and so on. And it is easy to lose focus because you're not too focused yet. obviously. So it is easy to start exploring, for example, login screen, and then notice something strange and just wander around that road. So then you will be in a bit of trouble. It is difficult to define actually which tests were run, which were not run, because you don't have the test cases pre-written, and it is hard to repeat certain cases if necessary. So, I'm going to tell you a story about actually when exploratory testing came up to me like a boomerang. So I need a glass of water for that. I always feel bad when I think of it. So this was a project where I decided not to use test cases at all. I wanted to try with exploratory testing only. So I did exploratory testing before, but along with test cases. And then I decided, no, I don't need test cases. I'm going to do only exploratory testing. And this was good. I asked my product owner, and he said, I don't want your test cases. I don't need your test reports. I don't need anything. I need software that works. What are you going to do? I don't care. And I said, great. OK, I'm going to try it out. So I did. I used only exploratory testing for months. And then he decided that he's spending too much money on our team and that he wants to cut costs. And imagine what happened next. He came up to me and asked, OK, Mirjana, what are you doing in our team? And I said, OK, I'm testing. Huh? I'm tester, I'm testing. Yeah, but there are not a lot of functionalities, so you can do it in an hour, just click through. What do you do for the rest 7 hours? And I said, I'm testing. So where are your test cases? I don't have any because we agreed that we don't need test cases. And where are your test reports? I don't have any mumbo-jumbo big reports with 40 pages because you're not going to read it. Actually, my product owner was the CEO of a company, so he's not going to read a 2-page document. Imagine 40-page document. I told you, but if you're curious to see what am I doing, tomorrow I'm going to give you a complete diary of my activities. What was I doing for the whole day? And this is what I did. And he was satisfied. I also sent him the report where he could see everything he was interested about. But still, he decided he was pleased with the report and everything, but he decided that he don't need testing anymore. And yeah, the team was only developers from then. But I learned an important lesson, and this is why I'm telling you this. Please make notes as you do exploratory testing. This was my mistake there. I haven't been doing a lot of notes. I had some important notes, but not all of them. So when he asked me to give him some results, I didn't have them. So I decided then on the spot, I'm going to make a lot of notes. And why is that? Because there is a term I learned about. It is the human envelope. And it is that we, as humans, can remember only certain portions of things. So we tend to forget. And what seems to be important for you today, you'll find something more important maybe tomorrow and the day after that. And then you will forget what was important a week ago, even though you thought that you were never going to forget it. And this is why I beg you to make some notes and to write the diary of what you are doing along your exploratory testing. I'm going to, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you actually how do I do that. And also create documentation. Use the outcome of your exploratory sessions to create some documentation about it. So a good way to manage your exploratory testing is by session-based test management. It is a software test method founded 15 years ago, I think, by James and John Bach. When they worked for an eBay, so this is actually the method used in eBay. And how do you do that? So it is a way to structure your exploratory testing. It is not pre-scripted still, so you don't have scripts before, but you have charters. What is a charter? Charter is a goal or a reminder of your session. So you do have a goal, and you know where are you heading to, and what is a session? A session is a time-boxed time interval where you do your testing. Usually, it is advisable for it to be from 30 minutes to several hours. It is important that the session is not interrupted, so no emails, no coffee breaks, no toilets, no chatting with the person next to you, just testing. So this is why I advise you not to have too big sessions that last too long. And also each session has a report which comes afterward. And what to do with this report? Usually, after each session, there is a debrief. Debrief happens between test manager and a tester who actually did the session. So they sit together, tester tell test manager everything he or she found out, all the bugs, what they tested, and so on. And test manager, this is the way for test manager to learn about software and also to give advice to the people who is actually testing about what can he or she improve, what they missed, and so on. And if you're the only tester in the team, and you don't have a test manager in the team, what do? I speak with developers, I speak with the team lead. So whenever you finish your session, you just sit, discuss what you have found. They will give you nice advices, maybe what to do next, and so on. And now a demo. And let's hope this will work. Usually demos don't work. OK, good. We are going to test this. This is the website of our software community, by the way. I'm going to use a tool called Rapid Reporter. You see, this is so nice. One-liner here, doesn't take a lot of space. It is always on top. And what are we going to do? We are going to test login. So, I'm a reporter. You see it, right? OK. I'm a reporter. Charter is login only. So no remember me or any other links, just a combination of username and password. So I'm not going to type in the whole sentence here because of the time. Setup would be, for example, the environment. Firefox, I think. Let's hope it is this one. And now we start our testing. You can write notes here. Tests, checks, bugs, questions, next time, and so on. And let's write a test. First test would be try with correct pass username. OK. So this is our test. And let's try with correct username and password. OK. 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 Logged in. But I notice it is quite slow. So my test that login will be successful was OK, but it was slow. So let's make a check why it was slow. OK. Now another test. Then, OK, we did logout. We are going to write it down. Everything is OK. This was OK. And the login with the, now we're going to do the login with incorrect username. Username, OK. Login, no. I got a message, invalid username. OK, message present. Which is something we expected. OK, good. Still, I don't like this, that he said me that the username is wrong. Why? Because now, if I were a hacker, I would know that actually password is correct and the username is not. So I think that this is a security issue. And I will note it down. So let's say security issue, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and now let's take a screenshot out of it. Just press here, everything is OK. And because we don't have much time, let's assume we are done. Just close it, and that's it. And now you're wondering, OK, good, I wrote it down, but what happens? You see here, there is a screenshot, which is quite nice, and there is the CSV file. I don't know how much can you see there. There are times, here are the types, was it a test check or whatever, and the content what we wrote down. Seems OK, but still not that much nice and not that much readable. So what are we going to do? We are going to open the command prompt and do this to HTML. Okay, something happens. You see? I get the report there. Okay. It should be done. Now it's much more nicer. So as you can see, tests are colored in white. Notes are colored in turquoise, which is quite nice. So you can observe them immediately, and bug is, surprise, surprise, red. And if you click here, you will get the actual screenshot, which is nice. Also, there are different, like you have the timing, exactly what happened. You have how much your session durated, and so on. What I haven't showed you in the Rapid Reporter, you can set the duration of your session, and you have a nice elapsed time there. And you can also configure these things, test notes, and use whatever you want. So this is quite handy when you do exploratory testing, and when you do whatever kind of testing you're doing, just to write down everything you did. So see, for me, this looks like a diary. I don't know for you, but if you do clever notes, you will actually get a diary of everything you did during that session. And then later you can do, for example, you can create a parser who will actually take out all the, if we wrote something like the next time, those are not our next charters, so it will extract them into different file, for example. If you don't know how to create a parser, you can always ask your dear friends developers to do that for you, don't be ashamed. You can play around with these reports, how much do you like it. And one more really, really nice tool. It is a plugin for Firefox and also for Chrome. Right-click, bug magnet. I don't know how much do you see it. Okay, so it will populate the input field with all the different things you need. So, for example, email address, you have the valid and the invalid ones. So let's try with 2 monkeys to log in, see what happens. Also, what you can do here, you can this is really, really nice way to have actually a checklist about what you should try for. You can even do the SQL injection or some other security stuff. Those are basic, but still, you can just quickly do it and see whether you're vulnerable or not. So this was my demo. Let's now try to go back to the presentation. Oh, it works. Okay, good. It still works. If you're wondering about the reports, this is what I usually keep when I do my exploratory testing. This is not a complete report, so don't take me wrong. But this is a really, really nice way that you actually see what happened and what is the quality of your application at a glance. So if you need to show a report for executive, as we had in the presentation a couple of hours ago, you can easily show them this because they will not have time to read through your big reports. And what is this? This is something I call a testing dashboard, so let me try not to fall. Here we have some areas, some big charters, here some smaller charters. It is, don't try to read it. I intentionally left it like this so you don't pay attention to what is written there and to listen to me. And the green thing means that this charter or this functionality was okay, so it is good to go, and this one is not. So I'm against putting green and red on a test case, but I would like to put the green or a red on an actual feature, because what are you going to release, your test cases or your features? So let's decide based on this. Also, what I have here usually, those are like the more information about how the testing effort, was it high, medium, low, and the coverage. Did we do just the basic scenarios or also some, I don't know, boundary value analysis and the stuff we're going to I think, listen to in 1 or 2 sessions. And this is not the report I'm sending. This is just one of the things I'm using to create a report. Also, I do use different bug management tools. So, for example, we use Jira, and this is where I put my bugs. So not all of my bugs are actually in these session reports. This is just a summarize of what is happening. But I'm using Jira to put all the bugs in so the team can actually see what's happening. Mind maps, really, really, really powerful and easy tools, and I use them for a lot of things, but here is an example of where I store my charters. So I use mind maps, and what do I do? When I get an application, which I see for the first time, I will first start exploring it to see what are the actual functionalities if I don't have any kind of specification. So I will have the initial session where I would actually define those big areas, and then I'm going to explore them even more in the next session and create those charters. And then when I decided the charters are small enough to be a session of up to an hour, I'm going to start actually to test, for example, this charter. And here you can put some notes in a big text file. Also, you can color. This is actually a mind map created by Gojko Adžić. So you can use this tool to color, for example, your nodes here, which are your charters. So you can put, for example, green if everything was okay with that charter, or red, or color the ones in, I don't know, yellow, if this means that those are the charters you have actually tested. When to use exploratory testing? Well, obviously, functional testing, and this is how most of us are doing, but you can use it for performance, load, and stress testing. How? How are you doing the performance testing or load testing? Well, by exploring. You try one load with a certain ramp-up period and so on, and then based on the results you have for that test, you decide how are you going to attack your application with how much concurrent users. The same goes for security testing, so open up a rapid reporter and type in whatever you find there. For usability testing, it is so hard to write test cases up front, because usability is all about the feelings about the software. Also, we use it as a preparation for our automated tests, so the outcome of our exploratory testing are test cases, but the candidates for the test automation. And you can test any kind of software, any kind. But not only software. You can also use it for reviewing activities. So when you're going through the specification and doing the review, what are you doing? You're exploring the document which was gave to you. So you cannot think up front what are you going to find in that document. No, you're just exploring. So make notes. You don't need to use a rapid reporter. You can put notes like in the Word, you can put the comments next to it. You could use exploratory testing on anything and at any time. When not to use it? This was hard for me, because I think that you should use it always. But I thought of it, and talked with the colleagues. And then this is a collective thought, that if you have the unexperienced team, all juniors who just came to work, who don't have any experience about the domain, then it is not so wise to give them to go and explore. Why? They will lose focus, they will wander around. They don't have enough experience to actually know what to test. If you're in Waterfall, I don't advise you to use only exploratory testing, but I advise you to do it as an addition to your test cases. So use your test cases, I don't mind it, but please explore. So don't be a donkey from the first slide or second. Please look around. Look for gorillas, look for curtains changing color. Be open-minded, expect the unexpected. And you cannot find the unexpected in the test case, right? Because we have the expected results. We don't have the unexpected results in our test cases. If you're testing a highly regulated system, it's you must write test cases, because this is written in some kind of how do you call it? I lost the word, never mind. So if you have a client who insists to write the test cases, then write it, but along the way, build trust with your client. And this is when your test cases might be like no more detailed steps, just the heading, and that's it. Conclusion. Your test cases are actually this net here. Whether they are manual or automated, it doesn't matter. They are pre-scripted, they have the expected results, and this is your first line of defense when talking about bugs. But If the bug is small, it can go through these holes, and those test cases still remain here. They are not moving around, so they will catch this bug, and it will go through here or here or here or there. This is when exploratory testing comes into the spotlight, because you do a lot of variations, you don't repeat the same steps over and over again. Exploratory testing will catch you these bugs here, and you will be a happy spider at the end. And again, this picture, as I already said, please learn about the software, learn about the testing, explore the software, explore the testing, explore your possibilities and your opportunities. And not only testing, explore everything. So I invite you to explore this beautiful city and to ditch your maps, your test cases, and just wander around. Because if you're looking at a map, I assume that you all have it. By looking at a map, you don't see anything. You just bump into people and so on. But you will miss nice things. The same goes with the navigation. Nowadays, we all use navigation on our mobile phones, right? And if my battery is dead, I don't know how to come anywhere because I'm so used to my iGo. So no good. That's it. Here is my Twitter. My email address, send me questions, please send me comments, tell me I'm completely wrong. I would like to hear your thoughts and your experience, and thank you. Now the questions.
So we got more than 10 questions. Thank you for that. And we will definitely not have time to answer all of them, but I'm sure you will be able to catch Mirjana during the coffee breaks tonight at a party or tomorrow during the whole day. So now let's jump to the first one. How do you deal with regression testing?
There are a couple of ways to do with the regression testing. Usually, we do have automated tests for regression testing, but I'm not that person who will tell you automated tests are great and they're going to give us all the bugs. But we are doing exploratory testing with a combination with automated tests. And if you have seen that mind map, there you can actually color the charters which you think are the good candidates for the regression testing. You can even add notes, like a checklist, what should you do. But this is just a checklist, just a reminder of what you should do. So this is how we deal with regression testing. This is how we do it. I don't know if this answered the question. If it doesn't, then catch me somewhere and I will try to explain more.
Thank you. The next question. How do you avoid gray zone, not tested areas of application?
If you have seen that dashboard, there is actually a gray zone there, and it actually means not tested. So I have it, for example, in that Excel sheet, which might be quite big. I have everything which was not tested, and I'm aware that it is not tested. So we plan to test it afterwards and so on. And also, you can see it in the mind map. If you are coloring mind map with some color, as I already said, for example, yellow, it means that we have tested it so far. Then the non-colored nodes would be the ones which were not covered yet, and we will definitely include them in the next sessions. But sometimes you cannot test all, so we need to have gray zones, and sometimes intentionally we don't test certain things because we work, for example, closely with developers to do the integration testing. So we are teaching them how to write integration testing, and at least if we cannot test it manually with the exploratory testing, then I make sure that they cover it at least with the integration tests or unit tests, or depends.
Thank you. The third question is actually two questions. How can you manage not to do many duplicate work in a team of testers? And also, some of the functionality is more attractive for testers than other.
That's true. We tend to do things we like, right? How do we do it usually? Well, as I said, we use Jira not only for bugs, but also for user stories and for tasks. So each task is, after it is being implemented, it is assigned to a tester, so each tester actually knows his or her tasks, and along the development, they decide on the charters they're going to use there. So I think that this is the way to avoid duplicates. I'm not saying that we don't have any duplicates, but at the end, sometimes duplicating things can be good. I don't know if you heard of mob testing. This is Maret Payer. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, never. She's a really fan of the mob testing, and this is what she preaches. So how does it work? There is one tester at the keyboard, and he's not thinking, he's just typing, and there is a crowd behind him who actually is brainstorming and telling him what to do. Is this duplicated work? I don't think so, because they will think of things that one person will never do it. What is it with one people? Sorry about that.
Next question. In my experience, test managers always want test cases so that progress is visible in numbers. How to sell exploratory testing to managers?
I'm a test manager, so I'm selling it to myself. In my company, we don't have test managers anymore. We do have test team leads, and then the role above it is a test architect. So, as I said, I'm test architect there. How to sell it to managers? Build trust. Explain them how actually exploratory testing is useful. Do not throw away your test cases. Use them, but use your exploratory. For example, you might try to actually create a statistic, how many bugs, how many critical bugs, but critical to a business, have you found using your test cases, and how many using your exploratory testing. I don't think that the transition to say, okay, we are not going to use test cases anymore and just use exploratory testing is going to happen. This is a transitional period, so just try to minimize the number of steps in your test case, the details. So don't put all the test data. Use it just like the reminder of what you should do, and this is actually the way to exploratory testing. And of course, some kind of a trainings, but if you're not a manager, you cannot decide about the training, so yeah.
Okay, I think we have time for the last question. How to advocate exploratory testing and its lack of coverage to the stakeholders which want bulletproof QA?
I already said something about this in the previous answer. So you can always go with the statistics. I think that stakeholders actually like those numbers, and especially aim for the critical things to the business, not to development. And also what you might do there is that I lost it. I have a great idea how to answer this question, and now I lost it. No, I'm so sorry. I had a great answer. I will give you in a second. Next one. But I will give you the answer.
Okay, so then you will have to answer one more question.
Okay, give me two then.
Do you use checklists or time-box sessions?
I don't see a reason for or between this. I use both checklists and time-box sessions. So I have a time-box session, but I have a checklist as a reminder. So again, that mind map with that, how do you call it, the Handcliffe, which had that, there are actually notes, which might be the checklists, what should you do. So I would say both.
Okay, that's all for now. We'll have 25 minutes coffee break. And we'll welcome you again here at 15:30 for another presentation. And finally, thanks Mirjana for her wonderful presentation.
Thank you.